Join the
speech, and I'm trying to find out what is the commitment to renal failure in Nevis, and I'm yet to find it.
be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach. Because when he makes those suggestions, he is, in a sense, misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it. On target.
So I'm your host, Kelvin Daly, and I thank you for joining us once again.
Join the conversation.
I looked at it on Facebook and I read the speech, and I'm trying to find out what is the commitment to renal failure in Nevis, and I'm yet to find it.
Be a part of the debate.
What he needs to do is to allow the people to do their work in accordance with the relevant legislation, and he must not overreach. Because when he makes those suggestions, he is, in a sense, misleading the population here.
Speak your mind. Defend your country. Call in. Numbers to call: 869-669-7312. That's 869-669-7312 or 917-460-2187. That's 917-460-2187. On target here on 2020 Vision Radio every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. On target. Be a part of it.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020 Vision Radio or its advertisers.
PICO, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Pinney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. PICO, the way to go.
Let us put our hands together for Pupa Wheeler.
Shout for me, boy. I want them to roar, boy, roar for me, boy. If you don't know I want in you, but I bang them, they go ball foul. Talking about irregularities, boy. They go be up and down balling. Enough of them don't pay come in, boy. Heading south. I bring in these Indians from the north, mi amiga and amigos, como esta bienvenida, la Nevis fiesta, bring them to shout for me. I want them to roar, boy, roar for me, boy. I go be mashing down the complex, yes, if they don't come me king, boy. Doctor Placing the campus suicide bomber.
Bringing them to shout for me.
I want them to roar, boy, roar for me.
Anything you want, you go get, boy. I'm mixing up the soca
With some
Hindi and some rumba.
chutney and lavandera.
I did not
Necessary, boy. Whisker lips a mercenary.
bringing them to shout for me.
I want them to roar, boy, roar for me. Maintain your impulso. Total zombie and beater. Take it away.
Local fans decreasing.
Boy, by the numbers they keep dropping.
No, but they don't shout.
Shout no more. Like they used to shout before.
Boy, disgruntled fans, they crumbling. About promise songs, fail on delivering. Start song and can't finish it.
In standard English, singing stupidness, nonsense.
Why don't you sing a song and again?
Can we happen to a fair share? When the money disappear,
Ooh yeah, boy.
Stuart, if in question here,
Bringing them to shout for me.
I wanted to roar, boy, roar for me.
I'm gonna be rocking down the complex.
Yes, leave the no crowded king, boy, and do we like the doctor, placing their campus suicide bomber.
Bringing them to shout for me.
I wanted to roar, boy, roar for me.
I'm gonna be mashing up the complex.
Yes, if they no crowded king, boy, and do we like the doctor, placing their campus suicide bomber.
Boy, bringing them to shout for me.
I wanted to roar, boy, roar for me.
Anything you want, you go get. Boy, I'm mixing up the soca.
With some Hindi and some rumba, chutney and lavandera.
I did not necessary.
Boy, whisker lips a mercenary.
Bringing them to shout for me.
I wanted to roar, boy, roar for me. Maintain your impulso, total zombie and beater.
Boy,
Take it away.
I'm gonna be chartering airlines.
See preacher, see taxi. Bringing them to shout for me. I want them to roar, boy, roar for me. You don't know.
You got to spend big money.
If you wanna win monarchy,
I go got the diaspora.
420 in my corner, boy.
Share the life, boy. Press like, subscribe, sharing.
All here the diaspora's king.
Your king go be knocking down your airport.
Knocking down, brocking down us.
Hospital walls.
Training
Geothermal. Let the Jewish people sing the song. These Hebrew boys don't understand. Begging them to load for me. writing down the complaints.
Yes, if they don't crown me king, do it like the Dr. President Kappa suicide bomber.
Bring it to shout for me.
I wanted to run for you.
Run for me. Anything you want, you go get.
Yes,
I'm mixing up the soca
with some Hindi
and some rumba.
chutney and la bandera.
I need no necessary.
Please God, lips of mercenary.
Bring it to shout for me.
I wanted to run
For me.
Prendete el pulso. Todos son bienvenidos. Keep the momentum. Everybody is welcome.
Thank you. Papa Wheeler. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of On Target. And as usual, on a Saturday afternoon, I'm your host, Kelvin Daly. And in studio with me is the man himself, Tulu Weeks, in his Valentine shirt, ready for action. So if you are celebrating today, if you're young at heart, not old like me, then you'll find Valentine's to be appealing. But after decades of life on this earth, some things just don't appeal anymore. But I see
love doesn't appeal.
it has nothing to do with love. Valentine has nothing to do with love. Come on, where?
It has nothing to do with
Yeah,
love.
that's a damn thing to do with love. It has to do with spending money,
For those
buying stuff you don't need.
for those who has money to waste.
Yeah. Anyway, for those who celebrate, happy Valentine's Day to you. If you don't, just like me, then we old and cold. So old and cold. We
I
don't-
celebrate every day.
every day,
Yeah, every day.
and that's the beauty about
Yeah,
it.
every day for me.
Every day.
Yeah.
Nobody gonna dictate to me what day.
No.
No.
It's an everyday thing.
Oh, okay. Let me say good afternoon to all those on FM Dial, YouTube, and of course Twitch and Facebook. I know today perhaps gonna be a difficult day for all of you, because you probably have better things to do and getting yourselves in gear for whatever night out or day out or
I should be in here a long time.
yeah. I don't expect much persons today. If you are with us, it means that
I'll be disappointed if they're not here. For sure. That signals to me that they only share love.
One day.
One day.
One day,
One
yeah. I've never believed in all this nonsense. Never again believed it. But, who am I? Let me say good afternoon to those who made podium today. Kitchen King, number one again, over there in Oklahoma City. Good afternoon to you, my brother. Nurse Dion Flanders up there at the hospital. I'm assuming she's off today, because normally when she's off, we catch her on the broadcast. So good afternoon to you, Dion. Cecile Hobson, that queen from over there in Cotton Grove. Good afternoon to you. Number 3. Liddy Pinney Liber, number 4. And August, the man Washington, number 5. We're getting a pattern here in Tulu. We're getting the same set of people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost every week now. At least in the top 5, the same people.
They're in a contest to get in first. Which is good.
Of course it is. I love to see when persons are trying to clock on first.
But there are many others who are trying to clock on first, don't know.
Oh, of course.
But, these guys are...
They're on the button, man. Especially Kitchen King. He's all... If I go back 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks 5 weeks in a row, he has been number 1. He has replaced Jetty Taylor. Remember, Jetty Taylor had 11 or so in a row, but the man now is Kitchen King.
That's part of life.
Yeah.
Cycle.
IDF, Ingrid Daniel Farrell, is right up there, number 6. She is over there in Virginia. And we have Drexel, the Coke bottle, Barton is in the house. Iona Muchacha Door over there in Bath, she's in the house. Simaletta Ovaltine Jeffers, she is with us. And so is Sharon Stapleton up there in Boston. She's in the house. Catherine France with a K, not a C. She's in the house. And so is Norma Jean down there on St. Martin. Good afternoon to you. And we have Martha Mango Tree. Good afternoon to you, Martha. And so is my number 1 fan on St. Kitts. And she looked lovely for her birthday. She sent me some lovely pictures.
All right. So you did better than Carla?
Yes.
He's begging for pictures.
And I'm getting them free without begging. Told you, old Penny, down there on St. Kitts. I know you had a blast for your birthday, you know. Paul Pemberton is in the house, and so is the man Burrell Jones. And we have Marcella Barbecue. BQ Jones is in the house, and so is Ermine Farrell. Rhonda Brown and Marcy Yelna is all on the house, in the house, I should say. I think that's it for now. Oh, Ivor just clocked on. Boom, on target. Ivor is in the house up there in Georgia, I think Atlanta, having moved all the way across, not real too far actually, because Florida is just Georgia is just, let me see, 1, 2, 3 states up from Florida. Yeah, North Carolina, South Carolina, and yeah, Georgia. Yeah, it's about 3 states up. Anyway, he's in the house, and Vernie Dor Williams. How are you, my dear? Jam Forbes just clocked on just in time. And so we ain't doing too bad for Valentine's. We're not doing bad at all. Yeah, okay. Gigi Williams Keith, why is Gigi here with us today? I thought Gigi will be out partying and.
No, we want our people to be with us, and you want them to be out partying.
No, you see, these are young people, you know, we're old to old men.
She can party later.
Oh, jeez. Delicious Nicholas Brown. What are you doing, Delicious Nicholas Brown? You should be out with hobby, you know? You're young at heart, not old like me and Tulu. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Gina Tyson is in the house, and she's saying, good afternoon, gentlemen. And Gigi is saying, blessed afternoon, everyone. Jackson Barton, good afternoon, my little sister. Who's the little sister? Oh, I think she's talking to Gigi. Okay. All right, we got to get started because we got a whole lot, as usual, to talk about. And if you, just in case.
We thought a whole lot.
You're trying to say something? You're trying to say something? What are you trying to say? Get it off your chest.
I'm simply saying we are never without a whole lot. Because there's a whole lot to talk about. And you know what is so important about this is that we are presenting truth.
Okay.
And that is key.
Delicious is saying, Delicious is saying, boy, I leave that up to my 2 queens. Me all know. Me go sit down.
Say the same thing like you.
I'm telling you. That's why I love herself. You think so much alike. He can so go sit down.
Both of you think alike?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
A lot. It's scary sometimes. Go sit down.
She's relaxing.
Yeah. Anyhow, Tonya Powell just signed on. Howdy.
What Tonya just started?
What? Tonya.
She just started.
Started what?
She just starting.
Starting what?
Yeah. What you on?
Oh, Dillis
house put aside. Tonya just starting.
No man, Tonya done sit down long time.
I'm telling you.
Tonya done sit down long time. I know my neighbor, you know.
Tonya just started.
No, I'm telling you. I know Tonya. Tonya is my sister. I know her very well. She done sit down long time.
Not in mine.
Anyhow.
She will have to tell me that.
Tonya, we got a bet. Me and Tulu has a bet that you don't sit down about this Valentine thing long time.
And I'm saying
you better tell Tulu you on my side, otherwise me and fall out.
if she said that she is sitting down, I would not believe.
You would not believe it. No. So it makes no sense she answer me then. Anyhow.
Still answer?
No. You don't spoil the whole thing.
No.
All right. We have to announce that the breakfast, the St. Paul's breakfast has been rescheduled until the 7th of March because that day clashed with the funeral of our brother Sterling Marshall. And so a number of persons who normally support our breakfast, they asked us to postpone because they didn't want to miss the funeral and they wanted their breakfast. And so we have agreed. And so the breakfast, St. Paul's lovely breakfast, will be on the 7th, the first Saturday in March. Those of you who are still interested in donating, you have an extra week. I thank my sister Tonya over there in Texas who has agreed to sponsor 12 breakfasts.
Hallelujah.
I mean, this is fantastic. 12 breakfasts, it's fantastic. So I want people to take the lead. If we can sell out this breakfast and give it away to everybody that comes along, it'd be fantastic. It'd be once in a lifetime thing happening like that.
That is true.
And so if you're so minded and you want to make NRP's life a little easier, let's sell it out before the 7th. I thank my sister Tonya for her significant donation.
And her quick response.
A quick response. And I know Delicious will also sponsor. Normally she will send sponsorship to her niece, JD. And so I don't even have to bother with that one. I know that is show money. All right. And Tony is saying, boy, Kel, you're in line. Long time I out.
Well,
I love it.
She convinced me.
Okay.
Tony, I'm convinced.
Gemini Nisbet, good afternoon to you all up there in Canada. I know you're cold because, this cold front is coming down from the north. And my poor brother Danny in New York and his wife Twilla, they are screaming, I wish I was still in Nevis.
Oh, wow.
It is cold. They've been back 2 weeks now, and then he told me he's been out their house about 3 times. He's just been cold. Cold. All right. So, all that. Okay. The first up, we want to tackle the issue of the Sovereign Wealth Fund, SWF, that the Prime Minister has put out there for comments and suggestions. And I applaud the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, the federal government that is, for taking this very bright step, because what happened with the SSZ should never ever happen again. And so I do applaud when they do stupid things, we're going to say they do stupid things. But when they do something that is good, we will also say that it's good. We ain't so hypocritical. All right, we ain't looking enemies. We are trying to make sure we have good governance and persons are held accountable and responsible. So I do applaud the Prime Minister and the AG for taking this fruitful step in putting out this draft legislation so all can see. I do hope, though, that the bar was brought in on a special consultancy, which is free, of course, for them to put their legal eyes on this matter. I'm just a layman, so whatever suggestions I have, they'll be weighed down better with a legal mind. All right, so kudos to the government and all those who made it possible for us to take sight of this very meaningful piece of legislation before it gets to the third reading. Had the first reading on Thursday, the 12th. I don't know when the second reading will be, but normally what happens after the second reading, it goes into committee and all suggestions and changes we made and then brought up for the third reading, final reading, and then it is now law after it passed the third reading. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of work right now on the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and I hope that the comments do reach to the right people and they can make necessary arguments or debates or even make changes to the draft legislation. All right, now those of you who are not familiar with the term Sovereign Wealth Fund, let me just give you a little bit of information about it. It is a state-controlled investment fund. So it sounds sophisticated, but it's all about taking the money you have and put it in an investment fund for which then the government can go out into the world and invest in very, what we call blue chip stocks and bonds, into housing starts anything that can bring in some money in terms of returns on the investment. So you talk about stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals, gold, silver, whatever it is out there. I didn't hear them mention Bitcoin, which is, I don't know if they're going to go that way, but
It's not reliable.
yeah. So that is what a fund is, sovereign wealth fund. That is what it basically is. It's a government, state-owned investment fund that invests government's resources, whether it's surpluses in the budget or in the case of those countries that have oil or gas or any kind of precious metal, any commodity, then the money, the sale from those commodities can go into this sovereign wealth fund to create more wealth for the people of that country. All right? Now, we have CBI. So you can expect that they're looking at surpluses in the CBI receipts, or they might consider it a commodity. I don't know which one they're going to consider it as. But this CBI is what we have, and then later on we are hearing that geothermal would also contribute, as well as your other avenues of money to populate the fund. All right. Now, yes, here I lost my spot for a minute. There'll be the board composition. Of course, this is basically a statutory organization with a board, and the board, of course, have all rights as a statutory board will have. They can be sued or sue. They can do all the things that a board can do, and they have 8 members. 1 member is what you call ex officio, meaning they are there because of their position. They can't vote. All right. They have 7 voting members on the board. So the 7 plus 1 is 8 on the board, but 1 cannot vote, and that is the financial secretary in the Ministry of Finance on St. Kitts. All right. So let's look at the board composition. The Prime Minister will appoint the chairman and 3 others right off the bat. So that's 4 for the Prime Minister. So keep track. The leader of the opposition, which happens to be Mark Brantley, a Nevisian at this point in time, will appoint 1. The Premier of Nevis will appoint 1. All right? And the Governor General will appoint 1. Now, if you want to really look at this in a kind of judgmental way, then you have to look at the numbers. In this case, in this dispensation, because we have in the Premier, the leader of the opposition and the Premier, Nevis gets 2 out of 7 votes, or 29% under the present arrangement. In the event that the leader of the opposition is not from Nevis, then we'll get 1 out of 7, 14%, guaranteed from Nevis. 1 out of 7 guaranteed from Nevis. And if we know anything about Mark Brantley, don't expect him to appoint anybody from this side of the aisle, and don't expect him to appoint anybody he cannot control.
He cannot.
Cannot control. Don't expect that. So what you're going to see in most likelihood of the one that the Premier can appoint, the present Premier that is, can appoint, will be somebody who is loyal to the bone to the Premier. That has been the trend. Because when you look at his appointments for the Junior Minister of Health, nobody in their right mind would have figured that should have been even 100th choice to be the Minister of Health. But here she is. When you look at the other appointments that he has made, 3 of them can't add up to 1. And that is what the reality is. So the one sure seat from Nevis, but the Premier at this point in time don't expect any fight from that person on the board. Don't expect that. So you have, in the worst case scenario, Dr. Drew will have at all times, 4 out of 7. 4 out of 7. 57% of the vote at all times will be his. So he will always have the simple majority. 4 out of 7. There's no way, if the vote according to his direction, that the one appointed by the AG, by the Governor General, and the other appointed by the leader of the opposition can override anything he puts forward. Matter of fact, the legislation speaks to, and I'm quoting now, if this does not give you pause for concern, something is wrong with you. And I quote, the board shall take all necessary steps to comply with any direction given by the minister.
So,
the board shall take all necessary steps to comply with any direction given by the minister.
so why do we need a board?
So the board then is a rubber stamp.
Yeah.
This is why we always end up in difficulties. You are taking away the combined knowledge of 4 out of 7 members right off the bat. Those appointed by the Prime Minister, and said they're acting on his behalf. The board shall take all necessary steps. This is in the legislation. And if those 2 kunumunus down there on St. Kitts, the 3 of them actually, do not challenge this, then what is the point of having a board?
They're not going to challenge it because the premier is of the same mindset. Whoever he appoints to any board, he wants them to do whatever he wants.
This is scary. We are talking about a sovereign wealth fund that will be the personal vehicle of the Prime Minister. This is another SIDF. With the only difference is that you'll have the opportunity to invest in stocks and bonds and real estate and precious metals. You'll be willing to take on board other investors from other funds. But outside of that, those situations, this is the Prime Minister's board. This is the Prime Minister's sovereign wealth fund, whoever the Prime Minister will be. This should not stand in a democracy where one man can override a whole board, or one man can say to his chairman, this is what I want. And the chairman comes to the board and says, this is what the Prime Minister wants. And we are bounded by the law to be guided by what the Prime Minister wants. How can this make any sense to anybody? How can this make any sense to anybody? You're putting in the hands of the Prime Minister the entire sovereign wealth fund for him to dispense with however he feels. Rubber stamp by a board that he has control over. How can this make any sense?
So is the independent thinking and the independent mindset coming together and saying, no, this thing doesn't make sense. I think that we should go that way rather than this way. But the way it is designed, the Prime Minister says, I want it this way, and it has to be the way that he wants it. So why do we have a board?
To make it legal. Because you can say the board said. The board approved. The board denied.
But then based on the law, the board cannot deny.
That's what I'm saying. The board is bound by how this law is framed right now, by the edicts of the Prime Minister.
Yeah, so they can't deny.
So, no matter how ridiculous it may sound, the best the chairman can do is resign. The best the board members can do is resign. But I guarantee you, the kind of pay package they're going to get as board directors, they're not going to do anything. They're going to say, we are bounded by what we signed in confidentiality, what we signed to be directors of, we are signed to that. Very few board chairmen ever resign, you know.
Because?
Because the money is good. And you are now understanding, because I'm assuming that these gentlemen or these people would be quite aware of the responsibility to the board, to the Prime Minister that is. And they have to now decide whether this is something that is acceptable or not. So once you sign that secrecy document, and this what I call allegiance document, then how can you now come back and say, I don't agree?
So where's the moral code?
What moral code? You're assuming I didn't say anything wrong, you know. I didn't assume, I did not say that something is untoward. I'm just saying you're putting all of the power of an entire sovereign wealth fund into the hands of one man.
I asked a question based...
He didn't say the cabinet, you know?
One man.
One person.
Yeah, okay. one man. But I asked the question based on the point that you made, that the chairman of the board really don't resign because the pay package is good. And I'm asking, where is your moral compass? Because if there's something that is totally against your principle and your moral and you believe that it is wrong, and you're going to rubber stamp it, and you're only going to rubber stamp it because I'm going to get paid over here, so I'm going to do it just to secure the money. I'm just asking, where's the moral compass? It's just a question I'm asking. What both of you saying about morality going through the door?
Good day, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. Two things before I better comment, dear Kel. Today marks 35 years since the Four Seasons opened in Nevis. So happy Valentine's Day today, you know. And just one important comment. I went to the Flamboyant home yesterday and I met someone. She has a stroke. Well, she's not well. And she says she says she listens every Saturday.
Wow.
And she says she want to tell the people on the radio and everywhere in Nevis, you must never sell any more land to any developer. Lease all the land and leave it there because nobody going to walk nowhere with the land. When you die, you're not going anywhere with it. Lease it.
That's a wise person.
All I'm saying, Kelly, if a woman who is not well can say that, what say the rest of us? Now, in relation to the matter here, Mr. Weeks, there is a view widespread among political scientists that a prime minister is an elected dictator. The prime minister of any country in the Caribbean is head of his government, head of the cabinet, head of the parliament, and head of the party. So if you can't get into either of them unless he says. So when you're saying if the idea of power with the people and the board and if they resign, there are 10, 12 more people
ready to come forward.
Ready to come forward to carry the thing. Now, it's just amazing. In St. Kitts and Nevis, we have 50-something thousand people, just over 50-something thousand people. We are setting up a sovereign wealth fund for everybody. It must have, when you look at it, you must see some level of longevity, some level of transparency and some level of separation of powers, because remember, it's the people's money and it can be set up by one prime minister, but there will be succeeding prime ministers. So you want to set something, and I am still looking for the legislation which says that X must be done with the help of a majority of the board members outside of the prime minister. That is what would make That is what what you would be thinking about, would make have a transformative effect.
But you see, yeah, I don't know if you missed it, but the Prime Minister has set up this board in a fashion that he always has a majority.
But that's what I'm saying, that
So if he has a majority by numbers, 4 to 7, and then of course the Governor General, who he appoints, will of course consult him with her choice for that member, and you have the uselessness of the Premier and his one, or his, in this case his 2, because he's leader of the opposition and the Premier, so he gets 2. This whole thing here is superbly dangerous. But the way this board is configured, it is superbly dangerous. The kind of powers it should not happen the way it is.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let's take this call.
There are more people.
Good afternoon, on target. Good afternoon, on target. Hello.
Okay.
Hello. Hello. I don't know, something going on with this.
There's a delay and the person is listening to a device.
Hello. There's an echo in the background.
Yeah, the device is on.
And Kel, for instance, you hear in the United States, the way the Federal Reserve is set up, that it must have some level of independence away. I think the thinking in 2026 is because of the awesome power of the politician and the leaders. People are looking for institutions that have some level of balance in terms of, when I say balance, removing the awesome power, where you say he alone will direct and the board shall follow the directions and so on. Right in 2026, people are looking for something outside of the hardcore politics. You understand that you will have people on the board who back you and so on. But when it comes now to setting up a board, you want board with people who are familiar with the matter and also have some level of, say, so what you are saying, everything rests with the peer. That's what you're saying.
That's why you structure that.
Okay.
That's where we're going, because we find that the Federal Reserves in America, they were saying that is independent of the president. The president now is fighting to get control over that, so he could fire who he wants to fire and put in place who he wants in place. And so this is the way the world seems to be going. That politicians who are in power, they are consolidating more power onto themselves. But for their control and the benefit.
But the legislature is what's giving them the power.
But the legislature.
The legislature is enabling this kind of nonsense.
Because they support it in the parliament.
Because they have the majority in parliament.
Because
right? There are some pieces of the legislation, I believe the laws need to be changed, that you must have a supermajority. You must have buy-in from the opposition benches. You must have a supermajority. This simple
are unanimity.
And this simple majority thing is not working.
No, it never would.
All right. Anyway, the issue of the 1 out of 7 for Nevis. 1 out of 7, because right now the leader of the opposition
can get 2.
He is from Nevis, so in this dispensation there's 2 out of 7. But by the time this gets really going, there's no guarantee that it'll be 2 out of 7. It'll be 1 out of 7. So in event, and this is the kind of debate that must be had in the parliament, in the event that you have 1 out of 7 coming from Nevis, is that representative? Is that representative of our influence in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? It is not. No. It is not. 1 out of 7, 14%. We are 25% of the population at minimum. Mm-hmm. In the event that, like they have now with Social Security Board, National Insurance Board, National Bank Board 2, it means that we could never carry a vote never ever carry a
And
vote.
if something is hurting Nevis, you can
If you come down to a political decision.
come to a political decision.
All right? And this is a kind of...
But that's why I say, Kel, that people are trying to look beyond this,
But
you know.
this is what I'm
That's what the society is looking at, which is different from the politicians.
The situation is this. Nevis will never get a fair shake if they remain minorities on a board.
No, you can't.
All politics is local. Keep that always in your back of your head. Issues on Nevis might not mean there are issues on St. Kitts.
No.
So it means, therefore, every time you construct a board involving Nevis, will always be on the back seat. Always. And I'm disturbed that we have not addressed this elephant in the room ever. The disproportionate power on boards that are state boards. National Bank, Social Security, National Insurance, these are all state boards. We on Nevis, Development Bank, we on Nevis will never ever look at what happened in IC and the CIU, the citizenship.
The Board of Governors.
But the Board of Governors, not a single division on it. How can you sit in a parliament? How can you sit in a cabinet of a federal government and decide we are going to create a Board of Governors for the CBI project, for CBI program? And by the way, we're not going to put non-division on it. How do you get these things say? How do you get them do? And we have 3 members of parliament sitting in St. in parliament and saying nothing to challenge this modus operandi, this status quo. How is it that we are not outraged by this? And then we wonder why we can't get any money from Nevis? That the little money that we get from National Bank, we had to be undressed in public? Embarrassed in public? While the Prime Minister is taking $27 million and giving it 0% to Marriott's? Where is our representation in Parliament? This loan to Marriott happened in 2023. 2023. Mark Bronte was the leader of the opposition.
He didn't know. He did not know.
You had Zook and Eric sitting there in the benches.
They did not know.
They know now.
Yeah. And they said nothing.
The point I'm trying to make, my good brothers and sisters out there, I do not see any way out of this commerce, this umbilical relationship with St. Kitts, this red-headed stepchild relationship with St. Kitts. I do not see any way out of it other than severe constitutional reform. And if that fails, we have to leave. We have to leave because we will never advance as a country, as an island state, with the present arrangement. We will not ever proceed with any surety
I understand.
under this arrangement.
I understand your argument. I am totally in agreement with the argument. But since 1983, when we went independent, my argument was, and still is, and will always be, that whoever forms the majority on the island of Nevis should be a part of the federal government. You can't tell me that we have a federal government involving 2 islands, and the Nevis position must be in opposition, or you're always in a position where you form a coalition, somewhere fighting to get in there. It should be automatic. Just like whoever wins the majority in St. Kitts is automatically in the government, what they call the federal government. I believe that whoever wins the majority in the Nevis should be automatically a part of the cabinet.
Well, let me just read
outside that we're going to have the problem.
Let me read a comment first before you go on, Hensley. And this is coming from Chris Richardson. And Chris is writing, the Federal Reserve has 7 members appointed by the President, confirmed by the Senate. Mm-hmm. It's a false sense of independence of government. It's a false sense of being independent of government. You see, you're appointed, you are approved by the Senate. And right now, the Republicans have the majority in the Senate.
Right. And they control everything.
They control everything.
Right.
All right.
No, but I was just making the point that there is that the president wants a rate reduction in the interest rates, and the Fed is saying, look, we don't operate like that. We have to follow the economics. I want to make something, Kelly, in relation to what you were saying earlier. Is it at all possible that when we are making choices for St. Kitts and Nevis, we look at the 50,000 people one time?
Mm-hmm.
Why have to look at St. Kitts then Nevis? That's where we have to.
Because all politics
is local.
Is local.
Yes. But in the Canadian in the Canadian experience, girl.
But let's just focus here.
I know. What I'm saying is, in Canada, you have Quebec, which is want to separate. But Quebec people would say, well, what's wrong with you, Quebec? You have 4 or 5 of the prime ministers over the last 40 years. Somebody comes from there, so what is your argument? We are saying we are left out. So it is time now. If you're not going to, you either have to adjust the constitution, or you will have a movement what we are accustomed to. Because if you can't tell me, Kel, sorry, in 2026 you can't look at St. Kitts and Nevis as one piece of thing.
It will never happen.
Okay.
Simply, it will never happen. Listen, I hate to say it, but I worked for 3 years on St. Kitts. And they look at us, they look at us different than they look at a fellow Kittitian.
So you were treated differently.
No, I mean...
You were looked at differently.
There was a comment made when I became the president of the college in St. Kitts. Oh, they said they give that to Nevis man to run.
That?
To run.
Somebody who is a high official, he was a high official? Or?
Well, the belief, there's a belief on St. Kitts that Nevisians are less than. There's a belief, especially among the elite on St. Kitts, that Nevisians do not deserve a place at the table. We have our own NIA, I work with that. There is that belief. And there's a belief, and to be fair, there's a belief on Nevis also.
That St. Kitts is
that a St. Kitts man will always be a St. Kitts man. And what's of St. Kitts belongs on St. Kitts. I got our government over here, I'll deal with our situation over here. Don't bother us with our things. All right? So whatever positions arise, whether it's on a board or whatever things, a Kittitian should get it. There is that belief.
And you're absolutely right. Because in one breath, the Premier or President Premier Mark Brantley said to us that we must not see ourselves as Kittitians and Nevisians, but we must see ourselves as nationals. We are one. That's why he basically gave the geothermal over to the federal government. But this same Premier recently heard him banging his ball saying that Kittitians want Nevisians to be to the back of the class. And so he's saying one thing today, and tomorrow his music has changed. And so we're going to end up in the same place. Then you're right.
We got to move on because we only looked at the board composition. There's also the vexing question of the proposed up to 25% geothermal to be part, whatever profits made from geothermal,
to go to
25%, up to 25%, let me be correct, up to 25% will be a part of the fund. No.
Where is geothermal?
25%. So if you make $1,000, 25% of $1,000 is $250. Goes right into the fund. No questions asked. It has nothing to do with any other situation that is now mandated. Up to 25%. So it could be 10%, 15%, 1%, whatever it is. Goes into the fund. And what this is saying to us, they are exercising control over that resource.
Yeah, but you're leaving us out. So we only have one person on the board, and at most 2, and then you're saying 25% of the resources. How do the two things do not comport?
the board will make that determination. How much money goes from CBI 25 up to 25% and geothermal 25%. If the board is making that determination, they are acting on behalf of who? The Prime Minister.
So it's the Prime Minister's determination.
The Prime Minister's determination. Right? And this is where I have a difficulty. The Prime Minister sits on St. Kitts, always from St. Kitts, and he's making a decision that benefits St. Kitts and not Nevis. Not necessarily. Let's take this call. Good afternoon, on target.
Really good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tool and Hensley.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Let me apologize again for early. It seems like it's off the topic, so we just want to put one little input. Good afternoon to all the listeners. Really, why you not give Dr. Jew one credit? Maybe give one credit in this instance. Because he show you hand exactly what he wants. So, if the board farm, the board know exactly what he wants. So then, and therefore, if the board go along with what he said, nobody's supposed to say that. The whole point about it, no, if you got credible people who decide, well, me not go up on the board, then they have to do on reform. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but you see, we don't want the legislation to get to the point where this clause is included, and therefore bright thinking, independent thinking people will refuse to go because of this clause.
Yeah, but right now you know stop the legislation from go because you never tell what happen now.
Yeah, but it's not about stopping, it's about amending the legislation to remove this particular clause or change it. So that, because if I was to be asked to be on the board in its present context, I couldn't do it. I would refuse.
So that are the point that we make earlier. All right? That's the point that we make earlier. Right. But here, no. Remember, when this is a debate, and because I come first, we think that I have the three some good advice. So me think that they're supposed to share some double salary and stuff over there. Right? Yeah. But remember now when the debate go start now, remember opposition I go fight against opposition. Because Brantley I go hit against Harris.
Of course.
Are you get that?
Yes, of course.
Exactly. So then and therefore, me have to give you free credit, and as you say, if you now got integrity, you wouldn't farm the board. Well, that's the only option. Different to that day. The board will go farm. Now, Tulu say that he think that if Nevis get X amount, then should be automatically in the government. But Tulu, Nevis me not the government.
Exactly, twice.
What them do? So now them now would prove if people on the other side say Nevis or know something, them prove them right. You get the vibe?
Nevis in the government was not automatic.
No, it not automatic, but them in the government.
That is true.
Them in the government, right? And them tell me anything at all that they fight for. Since when they?
Well, this all depends on who you're talking about because
the man asked a question.
If it's the CCM government you're talking about, they have fought for nothing.
No. We not talking about. Are we talking about them in the government? Tell me anything at all. You say them fight for down there for Nevis. You can't tell me anything? We can't tell you one. But you can't tell me anything?
You go ahead. Yeah, I could tell you a lot.
You want me go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, the only thing we see them fight for I could get some funds over there, the zone, for a hotel, and now they give away.
No,
Okay then.
no, you're talking
All
about
right.
CCM. That's what I'm telling you. You're talking CCM.
Anyway, we gotta examine this 25% CBI, because they have not made it clear whether this 25% of the CBI is before or after fair share. They didn't make it clear. They say up to 25% CBI. We need to know whether the 25% that goes in the sovereign wealth fund
Pre or post?
is pre
Or post?
or post.
Pre or post?
Because it makes a big difference.
If it's pre, it makes a huge
Let me ask you a
difference.
question. Having said that, shouldn't the premier be the one that is making these arguments?
But he was not there, so I'm making it for him.
But he
He
heard.
was not there.
Who was there from Nevis?
Eric and Zook.
I mean, all right.
All right. So
Continue.
it's important that we get to that fact of whether the 25% CBI will be taken out before or after the fact. All right.
After the future.
Because if fair share comes out after the 25% goes into the sovereign fund, it means we're gonna get even less
Of
than the
course.
35 million
And-
we're now getting. All right. That's terribly important. Terribly important.
Crucially.
But I can see a situation where they will take it out after, because they say when Nevis will benefit from the sovereign wealth fund in case something happens, some catastrophe, and they need to dip into the fund. So they will say, well, what is your contribution? You took out we gave you before anything came off a sovereign wealth fund, so therefore you have nothing here for you.
Exactly.
So I can't see a scenario, unless I am otherwise told, I can't see a scenario where they're going to simply take out Nevis 25% first and then put the other 25% of the remaining in the sovereign wealth fund. And you know why I don't think that will happen? Because Syncits is increasingly reliant on the CBI to fund their budget. Last year, of the $1 billion budget, thereabouts, 560 million came from CBI. 560 million came from CBI. And it's been increasing over the years. It tells you there's an over-reliance on CBI to fund a domestic budget. And the more you give to Nevis, the less you have for your budget, and the less you have for your sovereign wealth fund.
You sound like Timothy.
All right? So that is the scenario. We need to have clarity from this piece of legislation as to how this deduction will take place.
Well, any discussion about fair share, the new thinking must be, if we're contributing to foreign affairs, then we have to have a say in foreign affairs. If we have to contribute to national security, it can't just be on a statistical level and that's it. No.
All right. The geothermal aspect is very worrying. You heard Spencer Brown say any government that gives away geothermal is a dead duck. All right?
Commits political suicide.
Yeah, it's a dead duck. All right. So
But Brown changed his mind.
again, we are quite aware that Nevis has already given away geothermal, because I find it very presumptive that the Prime Minister in the first dispensation we're talking about profits from CBI, from geothermal, going into the sovereign wealth fund without any knowledge or any discussion. Maybe it's a point of negotiation, that's why they put it in there. But the legislation didn't make any accommodation for any development in Syncits, because we are now learning that surveys have been done on Syncits looking for geothermal energy. I got news on Thursday evening, but we were on the show.
Since Patrice was the minister.
Yeah, but the surveys have been done.
Okay.
All right. If there is a solar wind farm like they had planned up there at Needsbus, if it's profitable, will that fund also be going into any surplus money be going into the sovereign wealth fund? I mean, the legislation does not speak to anything into the future except geothermal.
But I think also, just to say, Kel, I think also our own people, we have to read up some more about what sovereign wealth fund does in all the other countries. That's one thing. So at least you have some knowledge. And most importantly, we must be able to work out in our minds. How does this really? We are setting up another level of, call it bureaucracy, and how is not helping us in Nevis, that is to say. We have to determine that.
I am seeing the wisdom of Joseph Parry when he went and set his sight on devolution of power for Nevis to have more control over what is over here, and the other side fought against it. But I am seeing the wisdom of it more and more as we go on. We see the wisdom of this man as a leader. We have lost out somebody great.
Yeah, but the devolution is one thing, because devolution only speaks to education and health. We have the construct of these boards.
The boards and the power.
That's where the money is.
And the power.
And the power is. Right? Unless those matters are discussed and addressed in a significant way, then we are not doing anything. I mean, I respect Premier Parry for the aspects of devolution, because really and truly, when it comes to healthcare policy and educational policy, we should be doing those. And I agree fully, 100%. We should be in charge of those. But outside of that, we need better representation when it comes to
money and
our positions on boards.
But could
money and power.
Could this lie at the feet of the government on Nevis that does not stand up and say, what the composition that you're giving to me here is wrong?
But this is what we're discussing. It's for them now, because I'm certain one of them are listening. They're going to now go back and say, we are unsatisfied or dissatisfied with the position about how the board is composed in terms of the numbers and placements for Nevis, blah, blah, blah. All right? But here's a suggestion. The Prime Minister and the Premier have both agreed that Nevis was shorted $800 million by the team of the government between 2015 and 2022.
Yeah.
They're on record saying that. The Prime Minister agreed. The Premier put it out there, and the Prime Minister repeated it. All right? So in their minds, both the Prime Minister and the Premier, $800 million is owing to Nevis. Why don't we do this? Every year for 20 years, $40 million of that $800 million.
Come to Nevis?
No, it goes into the sovereign fund as our contribution.
Nevis contribution.
Nevis contribution.
So we don't have to worry about. So we don't have to worry.
We don't have to worry about the deductions.
Right.
For
25%.
For 25%. You already got our 40 million.
The first 20 years we're in.
We're good for 20 years.
Good for 20 years. Yeah.
What do you think, Tulu?
No, that's good. That's how we negotiate. That's why you have to know where you stand on the things.
That's why you went out school and came out and have that kind of brain and have the kind of thinking. Listen to you and listen to the other one who said that he went to school and come back and nobody brighter here and see what he negotiates. That way any government should have an individual like you, Dr. Daly, who is independent thinking, and not only that independent thinking, but has the ability to formulate these brilliant ideas. You should be sitting down around the table with the Mali table and going to help for the betterment of the country.
The fundamental
not
problem.
Nevis, the betterment of the country.
Let's set this call here.
The fundamental problem.
Good afternoon, on target.
Daly.
Yes, sir.
You might have to get Prime Minister Joe to make one other confession, eh?
What's that?
If he really genuine of saying that think it's uneven, because me personally, me believe me know the chop here fall in and me just want to fire at Prime Minister Harris. You get that?
That might be.
He don't make the conversion. Yes, okay. Okay then.
Yeah, cool.
Go ahead.
That might be true. that he said he was trying to score a political point.
Yeah, but the reality.
But there's something called the court of arbitration. If the Prime Minister is agreeing in principle that 800 million was withheld from Nevis, agreeing with the Premier, then the Constitution provides for arbitration to settle matters between states, between islands. So, if that doesn't work, then take the matter to court and press for your 800 million. An agreement will have to be struck that the arrangement as prescribed shorted Nevis by 800 million. Let the court decide. Move the court, ask for a judicial review, and see whether the parties interested are going to negotiate before the matter is called. But you can't just dismiss $800 million after you've been ramping and raging about it and just simply walk away from it. Then why are you going to speak for? If you are simply talking for talking's sake, and you can well wipe off the entire national debt of Nevis, the entire national debt,
and have 200 left,
and to have $250 million left.
What?
You can finance the airport $140 million. You can pay a hospital $50 million. And you still got money left.
And you got money for education and other
So
stuff.
let me ask you both of your question. You're saying that the Premier said that the Harris administration owed us over $800 million. The present Prime Minister came and agreed with it and said that is true.
Yeah.
Has the Premier said to the present Prime Minister, well, I want the money that is due to Nevis?
Good afternoon, you're on target.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys in the studio. Good afternoon to everybody in the public.
Good afternoon.
We hear the Premier and the Prime Minister say what they say. They both agree that the Mr. Man or us. So we as a people, Nevis people, we are be over here, so. Supposed to hold the nigger man responsible and make him bring the money there.
I agree with you.
What we supposed to do is grab him, only by color, to make him bring over the money. Good afternoon.
Thank you for that.
but when I say that's Frigate.
There's a gentleman here who says not only the 800 million, the guy, gentleman Richardson, plus interest.
well,
we will forgive the interest.
We could negotiate. once it is accepted that we'll get the money, you could work without the interest, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I work without the million.
Okay. I also want to say to you, Tolo, that it's a national spirit which will have to give you that, You have to love the country first.
Let's get this call, yeah. Good afternoon, on target.
Coming back to you.
They will not forget this little part because this little part is very interesting.
Okay.
Remember, Prime Minister Joe turned to Dr. Harris and said, I think you should pay.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Thank you. Yes, Harris did say so.
So Joe said Harris should pay?
Harris said you should pay.
Harris said you should pay. Well, but in truth and in fact,
government is continuous.
If Joe said that the money is owed to Nevis, then as the Prime Minister and a caring Prime Minister want to make me believe that he's okay about me, would have said, listen, I am going to make sure that the people of Nevis gets that money because it belongs to them.
But you know what's sad? Even before, even after, this matter with the 800 came up before budget in December. It's been raging on between Harris and Brantley and Drew before the budget. The budget called in December 5th. December 2nd, sorry, in Nevis. And then is when we learned that Nevis got a cut by 47% in the SID, in the CBI. From 66 to 35. So if Drew was serious about his belief that Nevis is owed, why didn't he continue the 66 in lieu of the $800 million being paid?
And paid down
over time.
Makes sense.
Because it's only fair. If you're arguing prior to budget that Nevis is owed $800 million, then why cut our CBI by 47%, putting us in all kind of financial difficulties, while you're admitting that you owe us money.
But could it be that Jew is using the Premier's argument? Because when the argument came up for us about fair share, Mark said that he had no agreement with Dr. Joe and the Labour Party. His agreement was with Harris.
He had an agreement.
So no. That was his argument.
But,
so probably he's saying no. That's why he said they're saying that.
Where is the legislation?
There's no
There's
legislation.
no legislation, so that means there's nothing.
And so the other way around now, it comes the same way. Harry should have paid the money, and so Drew is not going to pay because the deal was with Harris. And
Yeah, but why is the Premier waiting? Why is this happening now? He was part of the government when the whole CBI thing was blowing up to the mountain.
No, he only
Well,
finds
so
excuse.
what happened?
Fellas, we gotta move on.
Come on.
He just monkeying around the time.
We gotta move on. The Frigate Bay. Oh, I think I have an audio. Here. Okay, here it is. Now, this is a.
Golf course land.
It's another. I think it's a feather in Dr. Joe's cap. I must admit.
Yes.
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 But I wanted to contrast and compare, which was happening in Nevis to what the Prime Minister did on St. Kitts.
Yes.
All right. So listen to this voice clip. Is the Prime Minister in Parliament on Thursday the 12th, discussing the acquisition or the reacquisition of some 77.23 acres down there at Frigate Bay, and has been reinvested into the Frigate Bay Development Corporation. And so this is something to listen to.
It brings me great pleasure to announce that after lengthy, tough negotiation, your government has secured, by way of written agreements, signed, sealed, and delivered, full state ownership of the lands on which the Frigate Bay Golf Course is constructed. Full state ownership of all shares in Frigate Bay Golf Course Limited, the company which manages and operates the golf course. And the full state ownership of an additional 77.23 acres of land in the Frigate Bay area, Madam Speaker. We now own that. 16.10 acres, which comprises the northern holes of the golf course adjacent to Koi Resort. 13.16 acres of prime vacant land to the west of the golf course overlooking Half Moon Bay, and 47.97 acres of prime land between the Frigate Bay Road, Earl Mons, Bird Rock, and the heights of Frigate Bay, Madam Speaker. 77.23 acres of land in addition to the golf course. That is now fully owned, Madam Speaker, by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. Tremendous, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the first 16.10 acre parcel ensures that the state now, for the first time in our history, owns the entire Frigate Bay Golf Course lands and its operating company. Madam Speaker, the second 13.16 acre parcel grants Frigate Bay Development Corporation a new mandate, given that it has almost fully sold all of its development land. The corporation can now install the necessary infrastructure to develop this new land, which will be ideal for luxury villas and possibly another high-end hotel due to its superb views of the Frigate Bay Golf Course and Half Moon Bay. But Madam Speaker, and last but not least, the third 47.97 acres of prime land will be subdivided into large residential and commercial lots to ensure that our people, Madam Speaker, the young people of this country as well, Madam Speaker, can have a chance to gain generational wealth through land ownership and commercial enterprise right in Frigate Bay, Madam Speaker.
Okay, sound speech.
Let me hear you. I'm gonna wait for hear you
So,
you and Hensley.
The thing about this is that what I find about Dr. Drew oftentimes, which is self-inflicted, is a propensity not to tell the entire truth. And he didn't need to he didn't need to obfuscate. You see the term, right? Obfuscate. He didn't need to hide anything. This was an opportunity for him to come completely clean about such an important transaction. I think he misspoke a little bit because he said in addition to, the total acreage is 77.23.
Including the golf course?
Including the golf course.
Okay, I thought it was separate.
No, everything is included. All right, that's the first thing I picked up on. It's a reacquisition. The lands were held by lease by the Royal Sinkits group of companies, which includes, I think, people from Marriott. They were held by lease. They were given a lease by Dr. Douglas, I think it was around 2008 or so. Can't remember for sure, but I think that was around 2008. All right? So, in that they bought them and we got them back. They didn't buy them.
They repossessed.
They wasn't even a repossession. Marriott's,
they never left the company.
Let me finish. Marriott was losing money on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
The golf course was not making any money. They voluntarily went to an agreement with the government to hand back the leases to all of these lands. Those lands are now vested back into the Frigate Bay Development Corporation for them to use. My fear, and it's a fear shared by a lot of people, if the government attempts to run the golf course, they're going to run it into the ground.
It's come on.
We don't know that. So I hope they find an operator very soon for that part of it. But what the Prime Minister also left out, what did Marriott's get in exchange? What did the Royal Sinkits group of companies get? Because he was said it was difficult negotiations. What did they get? Why didn't he say what they got?
What, they got something?
They got 725 public benefit units. Basically, 725 shares.
CBI shares?
CBI shares.
What?
That's what they got.
Multiply that by...
The value is about 490 million.
Oh.
EC dollars.
Wait.
The government will, if these units are sold, the CBI units are sold, the government can get around $3 million
What?
in application fees. The Prime Minister said it's a mixed development. You have the golf course, you're going to housing, have villas, hotel development. All that is good. Because the Frigate Bay Development Corporation determine who is it that will get access to the 49 acres of large lots for housing. All right? So I'm not in that. That doesn't concern me. All right? But what I want from a government is full transparency. If you are giving in exchange for a return of the leases, tell me, what did I get? I shouldn't have to be digging for it. They got 725 shares worth $500 million, $500 million. Almost $500 million.
The land's worth that amount of money?
Well, it's not the value of the land, so to speak. It's the negotiated position. Then remember, the Marriott never owned the land. They have given up access.
Yeah.
And also what they said, listen, we invested 40 million, I think it was, in rehabilitating the golf course. So that is part of negotiations. So the total package for us to give you back the leases, which we want to give you back the leases, because as the Prime Minister said, the Frigate Bay Development Corporation doesn't have any much land left to sell. It means they have run their course. So to rehabilitate, reinvigorate the development, the Frigate Bay Development Corporation, you now have a new mandate, a new lease on life of 49 acres and change to develop and manage.
Who? The question is who will buy? Who will get access?
But that doesn't concern me.
Who will control?
I have no.
But that is for the people.
I have a different view.
I have no issue with the management of Frigate Bay Development Corporation, who they sell to. You don't bother me in the least. I have no skin in that game. What I wanted was total transparency by the Prime Minister, who stood in Parliament and said these things. I don't want to be looking under the rocks for anything. Right? Tell us, listen, in exchange for this is what we gave them. We gave them $500 million worth of shares for them to walk away from this.
I'm happy that you did this, because I was convinced that we were in a win-win situation. So the who that I have I have to ask you is who end up the winner out of this deal? Marriott, who is going to get this state?
Everybody, in my view, to be honest,
it's a win-win situation.
It's a win-win.
Okay.
I like the fact that Kittitions and Nevis, by extension, have gotten back some really prime estate under the belt. I'm happy about that.
Okay.
All right, because then, as the Prime Minister said, and you have to take him at his word, that the Frigate Bay Development Corporation will now look at applications from young and old and in between, and I would hope that they will look carefully at generational wealth of Nevision and Kittitions as first priority. Because let me tell you something, Frigate Bay is a beautiful place. Frigate Bay is a fantastic place. And I would want to see as much color down there as possible. Meaning local color.
But that's the who.
All right?
That's the who.
I mean, they're quite a bit up on the heights, like if you're going to Half Moon area, just back of the Koi up there. It's nice colors up there. But you get some big money people coming through. And so you have to limit how much you can sell each person.
That is the who.
To make sure that the corporation fulfills its mandate to empower Kittitions and Nevision as first priority.
The who.
We heard you, Hensley.
Yes. But you are extending the discussion.
For me, what really stood out, apart from the fact that we got back the lands, is when the Prime Minister said that this is for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to create generational wealth and saying to try people to try save up some money so you could buy some of the lots and what's not. And I'm saying, well, look at Nevis. In Nevis, our government is saying to the people of Nevis, sell out your lands. Give away your power, your generational wealth, and power into the hands of others. Give it away, sell it out, let it go forever. And the Prime Minister beat his chest. See that way, I got it back. For the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to have it to pass on to generation. Daily, break down these two things for me, please. And our government is telling us give it away, and our Prime Minister is saying he's hold on to it.
But the Prime Minister is also he's the one who passed the SSC. He's the one who tabled it. So it is his baby. And that is where the dichotomy comes in, where it is good for St. Kitts but bad for Nevis. All right? So I wish he was more understanding of the position of Nevis on this matters of land.
But his argument
he's now getting he now has an epiphany because it's St. Kitts. Let's take this call here. Good afternoon, Target.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, sir.
Good afternoon, Professor.
You know the principle, if it sounds too good to be true.
It's usually not true.
Right. You could end it. Okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, as you said, on the face of it, that's great. Okay? But exactly what was in it for Marriott. You're telling me that they are getting this amount of units that they are supposed to sell?
Yes.
And what are the people buying really? Just citizenship?
That's a good question. I don't know what they're buying, but they have.
Because it's not a real estate thing, is it?
It's a public option. It's a public good. So they don't have to be a real estate. It doesn't have to be real estate.
Public option.
It's a
Yeah,
public
but there
option.
has to be some. So what is the public good? Is it what?
Well, it could be a service. It could be an industry. It could be anything. Remember the first company that got the public good under the new CIU rules was MSR when they got OTI.
Right.
That they got public. They got what? How much shares they got? I think 300 or 600 shares. Units.
Well, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But remember, this is the Marriott. So you see, I'm looking at this in terms of the fact that government recently gave them 27 million.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know.
Take your time. Take your time.
Right. I don't think we're seeing the whole thing.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. Okay. We're seeing the nice juicy part. We're getting back some land.
Yes.
For use by Frigate Bay Corporation. And but what are we giving away for it? Anyway, the other point I wanted to make was the fact that you just mentioned Frigate Bay is a beautiful area. It is, and it is a mixture of public and private investment, no?
Yes.
And it's also a nice mix of people, of foreigners and local people.
True.
I think it's the only area where you could have, foreigners could get land without alien landholding license or something like that.
That's true.
Okay? But there's a mix of ordinary people inside there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, offered another path to development alternative to the SSC model. Okay? Where we're not overwhelmed with one mass of people coming in. Right? There is integration among us. Right? And to me, it shows that we can indeed develop, have a good development without going to the extremes that, for instance, Destiny is offering. Okay? And so it's going to be interesting to see how the two are going to go hand in hand with each other, right? Because I suspect they're going to have totally different outcomes, right?
You think?
There's one other thing. What you mentioned earlier. Now, of late, I find the Prime Minister making some very glib statements. Thinking about them after, I think. They come out, the statements come out, and then, afterwards when the repercussions, or it sinks in,
you
wonder why
you're talking
you
about
said that.
you're talking about 800 million?
Yes, that, because it's on record, eh?
Yes, of course it is.
Right. And, I mean, that's just inviting. I don't know how they would approach it if, for instance, Premier Brantley demanded the 800 million, some form of repayment for the 800 million. Okay? But, like I said, it seems to be happening too often of late. Same thing with the Haitian thing, and it might have been a slip of the tongue or whatever. Might have seen a good idea when he first mentioned it. But, I mean, you're sitting there. Do you foresee the the Prime Minister forking over that money?
No.
Neither me. Neither me.
Why not?
Right? But anyway, that's how it goes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Why not?
He gonna do it.
He said that his oath was.
He gonna do it.
Is everybody you owe your pay?
He gonna do it. We gotta move on. Susie Warner is saying Drew is very good at confusing himself. Jesus Christ.
A daily friend. Susie, your daily friend.
Yes, of course, my good friend.
Yeah, good friend.
She used to be when she used to keep an eye out when we teaching she mother sweets and things.
So she'll come up with that. The man is very good at confusing himself. That's a daily mentality, a way of thinking. She was well taught by Daly, you know.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, she was well taught by Daly.
Susie Warner?
Excellent.
You know, shows of Brazier.
So, the Warner is going to get me. What's my Dexter?
You think?
Yeah, you got idea. She was well taught by Daly, I tell you.
Okay, we got to move on. Okay. I got a tape I want to listen. It's a bit long, so bear with me. All right, it's about 5 minutes long, but it's worth listening to.
It all depends on who it is.
Um,
The tape is on. If it's the premier, I can't enjoy it.
No, as long as it's the premier, really got a lot of bad food.
Okay, let's go.
You got a lot of food? Okay.
Say it ain't so. Benin, what are you doing?
I
To
saw
be
that.
specific, what are you doing, Patrice Talon?
Yeah, I got
What is happening? I just read a thread from investigative journalist David, and I'm quite alarmed. Let me read for you exactly what he has put up. David wrote, since we're gushing about Benin and its amazing roads, the road he's speaking about, I'll show you right here. Let me inform all of you that Patrice Talon, who's the leader of Benin, is currently in the process of approving the sale of a part of Benin to a consortium of billion racists led by Peter Thiel, for them to build a private sovereign city with its private owned laws and police, which will not be subject to the laws of Benin or the African Union. Are you listening? I'm going to repeat that part. David is saying that, and some people have done their research and they agree that this is true. Benin's leader is currently in the process of approving the sale of a part of Benin to a billionaire. And he states that he's an anti-black or a racist named Peter Thiel. For them, I believe he was also a PayPal founder or co-founder. We'll go through his credentials shortly. So, if I'm understanding correctly, which I think I am, this billionaire is working with the leader of Benin in order to build a private sovereign city with its private own laws and police, which will not be subject to the laws of Benin or the African Union. I can't. I honestly, I'm speechless. And he continues. And he said, it is called Prospera Africa, and it is meant to follow the template of the same project funded by the same people in Central America called Prospera Honduras. If you Google what Prospera Honduras uses its sovereignty to do, you'll see the commercial investment into its primarily for the purpose of, quote, biotechnology. That is drug tasting and human experimentation that would be extremely illegal anywhere there is an actual government. These billionaire bros are trying to build a sovereign colony in Benin where they can legally experiment on Africans. And he continued and said, take this very seriously. It is not something a little birdie told me. I myself almost ended up working on this project a couple of years ago before I started to understand what it was and who was behind it. When you're done congratulating Patrice Talon for his smooth roads, please beg him not to give Peter Thiel an island in West Africa for Elon Musk's friends to legally use Africans as live experiments. in shock that Patrice will do this. And I'm pretty sure if we dig deeper, we'll find more countries probably already in the works to grant these people, these organizations, these billionaires, a chunk of their land, a chunk of their islands, a chunk that doesn't belong to the government, but the people of those countries. I believe if more investigation is done, more is going to be discovered, and I'm alarmed. I hope Patrice can come and tell us that it ain't so, it's not true, or it's a misinformation, which I highly doubt it is, because David usually investigates thoroughly, and most of his reportings appear, to me at least, very credible. Anyways, fam, let me know down below what your thoughts are, especially if you're from Benin. I would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? That a leader is considering giving a place. By the way, the part that really is alarming for me is not just the cell, but the part where it says it's going to be a private sovereign city with its own private own laws and police, which will not be subjected to the laws of Benin or African Union. How is that even legal? How are we even having this conversation? Honestly, I need to do more research on this, because yeah, let's do that, because it's definitely alarming, and we need to have more conversations about it if in fact this is true information. Anyways, fam, let me know down below what your thoughts are about this. I am curious to hear from you. I am Ungil Zalalem. I'll see you on the next one. Stay blessed. Bye.
Yeah, I saw that.
So there you go. It is not just Honduras or St. Nevis, but they're now moving further afield into Africa, in particular Benin, and there's other places. And one thing that these guys have in common, all these countries, whether it's Honduras, St. Nevis, or Benin, you have very corrupt leaders.
Right. And that's the main reason.
Corrupt leaders who all they see is dollar bills
for themselves.
All right? And it is shocking to me that we are not learning from history. We are simply repeating history. All right? So this was just a tape to show you that we are not being overly, what do you call it, sensational, hyperbolic. This is real. These billionaire folks are moving throughout the world, looking to set up their own countries within countries.
And they intend to do it.
And they intend to do that. They have the money, and all they need is cooperation from corrupt leaders
who can be bought,
who will look the other way and sell out their country for a couple
Just
dollars.
a quick question, Gil. You notice, this is not in Europe. They are not pushing in Europe at all. They are not pushing in America. They are pushing in Africa and the Caribbean, where they can find, I figure they are saying highly indebted countries and corrupt leaders, the two things.
Here,
Before you go.
You see the
Okay,
picture on the screen?
Yeah.
That is our esteemed leader going out to a yacht owned by Roger Ver, a billionaire investor.
Wow.
This is our leader. Does he look familiar to the Benin leader?
Yeah, black leader.
Doesn't he look very similar to the Benin leader that he's trying to sell off a piece of Benin? I mean, why is he going on a yacht by himself, no press, no security, nobody but himself, going to a private meeting with a billionaire investor? Come on, no, come on. We can do better than this, man. We need to do better than this. Go ahead, Tulu.
I'll tell you something. The tape that you played, the narrator said that the leader of, they got word, it's true that the leader of Benin is planning to do it. The people don't know. Yes, Uma. In Nevis, our premier is bold enough to tell us that he is going to do it. And he's already put the legislation on the Prime Minister's desk for approval. Now, here it is what the narrator is saying to the people of Benin. I got to come out. You got to make a stand. Okay? you have to take a stand on this. But I'll come back to your picture. Because Roger Ver said, one of the things why they want the sovereign state within a state is that they do not want government. Because governments are corrupt. Government should be treated like criminals, like rapists, like murderers, and that kind of thing.
Who used to say that?
Roger Ver.
Not Roger Ver.
No, that's Johnson.
Johnson.
I am saying.
Johnson said it.
Even if Johnson said it, I have.
No, but quote the right people.
No, I'm quoting Roger Ver because I listen to Roger Ver. I had it on tape.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Johnson is saying the very same thing. Okay? I'm just saying that when I'm saying this, that Roger Ver could say that you must treat government that way because government are basically absolute and they're corrupt. Because he knew that he is dealing with a leader of a country who is absolutely gullible, easy to buy out. According to Johnson now. Johnson is saying that he wants his zone with his own security because St. Kitts and Nevis is high crime. Okay? We are filled with high crime. When Johnson look across the road and look at the Premier of Nevis, and hearing the Premier of Nevis says that he knows that there are petty failures on the island of Nevis. He has the evidence, but he never tell the police. While the police is saying to us, if you see something, you hear something, if you even believe that is so, let us know because we want to investigate crime. The Premier is bold enough to say that he has evidence. Not only pedophilia, but people who thief and do all kind of crime. And he not going to tell nobody nothing. When Johnson look across there, no wonder he could say that, listen, I want my own zone. I cannot trust your government. I cannot trust your security forces because if the government, the head of government, is not going to tell the police about the crime that he knows, what we want to have dealing with those.
I think that's a smokescreen by both of them.
That's true.
There's a smokescreen.
That is true.
What the reason why they don't want our officers in their zone is because they want to do exactly what they want to do.
They plan nefarious
in the zone. If they want to bring in drugs, if they want to be up and down doing the pedophilia or the Epstein Island 2.0, that's what they want. All this issue about crime and high crime and all that, it's a smoke screen so they have the right to isolate themselves and conduct themselves how they want.
And the Premier is giving them the right to do what they want to do.
That's part of the negotiations. They are saying, we're going to give you 60% GDP increase, 60 times GDP increase. We're going to give you a hospital. We're going to give you a thermal. All we want to do is be able to booger who we want to booger, to juice off the young girls them if we choose, to bring in experimentation if we choose. That's why you're trying to negotiate. That's what it's called here. Good afternoon, you're on target.
Really?
Yes, sir.
We hear something from the thing the more serious than what they talk about, you know.
Yes, sir.
The lady say that these people usually use African as guinea pigs to spread them diseases and stuff. So while them up there in a them zone, I do what them do. Next thing, I don't get sick and I don't know why I get sick after.
Thank you very much.
I not get that?
Thank you very much.
Listen to me, we speak like for photos. My very good friend, let me put in that first, because I don't want to cut me off when you go and punish your Wednesday night. My very good friend, Dr. Johnny, is the next thing you need is people, please.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you, man. We said on the last, I think the second to last broadcast, when we had a tape recording of a gentleman, I think the guy, one of the initial architects of these kind of destiny cities, he said if an experiment goes south, if something blows up, if a germs get away, then of course you as a host government is responsible.
Yep. Yes.
Right? Now, Prospera in Honduras is known for the kind of cutting edge research along that same line. Things that they cannot get away with in a European country or America or Canada or England, they can get away with it in these 4 countries because there is no oversight.
Because there's no government oversight.
There is no oversight. And something, if COVID taught us anything, is that we are in a very small global space.
Mm-hmm.
Look what China is. They say it started in China. Look where we are. And it reached down here within a year.
Still down here.
So why you think that if something happens in Honduras or happens in Nevis, that those in America would not be affected, or those in China or Russia or Argentina would not be affected? These are pandemics. You are playing with the whirlwind. You are going to reap it if you continue going along with these cities that simply have no regulation in sight to keep experimentation, to keep these sort of very dangerous sorts of activities under tight control, right? And any country that agrees to set up these zones that allow experimentation, you are putting all of us at risk.
But you notice the lady says, I read it, started to listen to the tape twice before. Okay. And essentially, it's a template, you know. You have a template. This is what it will be. So whether we are in Benin, Nevis, St. Kitts, wherever, this is it. Full control, sovereign city, exclusion of the local people. And the point you just made, Kelly, is the most serious matter, the matter of health care. We are in a precarious situation with health where we can't manage major issues. And if you're bringing people into Nevis and allowing them to do things like stem cell research, which are banned and which have to meet all sorts of protocols, and you are removing that from Nevis, I think the people of Nevis need to see that the government is putting them at risk, and as a result, when the time comes to vote, we have to vote the government out.
I think it's a Nevis, because Daly said something there about these diseases and whatnot spreading. I think the lady alluded to that in Prospero in Honduras. The premier of Nevis opposed a fuel depot on that same south coast area under the argument that it could cause an environmental thing if some fuel spill. Today, the premier is planning to bring people over there, and based on what we are seeing there on that video, and based on what we saw came out of Prospero, bringing people out there that can unleash diseases not only on Nevis and St. Kitts, but throughout the entire region. And it is okay for that to happen. The people of Nevis and their right, and St. Kitts, not just Nevis. Nevis and St. Kitts, the people of, not those who are living here, but those who are in the diaspora, you need to understand that we have a nation to save, because if Mark Brantley and Dr. Joe and Janssen and Freya then get what they want, it's going to be hell to tell the priest inside this place. Well,
let's move on. I want to revisit a briefer clip. Last week we played a clip with the call that Pastor Mead had made to the radio station. We're going to replay it in a briefer form because there's a follow-up to it, all right, that I want to play also. Listen to this.
That I have. Number one, you do not have to answer because I know the answer. How many acres of government land have you sold to Destiny? 2. Is it true that the developer of Destiny project is a citizen of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? 3. How many passports have been sold by the Nevis Island administration or by you? Number 4, when applying for citizenship, is it required to state your religious beliefs? Finally, 5, is it lawful to sell people citizenship by investment and then call them foreigners, settlers, pirates, and all the other names that they're being called? don't they have the same rights as you and I and everybody else who were born here? I ask those questions, not looking for an answer, but just because as recently as last month, I heard someone call in on another talk show, not this station, saying that you sold government lands to foreigners, among other criticisms against you, the hatred. And the host and the panelists on that station allowed the person to get away with that falsehood that you sold government land to foreigners. The man is not a foreigner, and you didn't, as far as I know, you did not sell any government land.
100% correct. We have sold not even 1 square inch of land to anyone.
But Mr. Brantley, is this proper that a host and panelists would allow a person to say those things and don't correct it?
Well, I don't think it's proper, Pastor Maynard, but it assists them in perpetuating the narrative and the false narrative that they've been pushing. Because we have said repeatedly that the large tract of land that the NIA owned in that area was already swapped for debt with the National Bank prior to this government. Put differently, it was done by another government. I'm not criticizing them, I'm simply stating the fact. So that this government has not engaged in any transaction whatsoever in relation to any land whatsoever for any development. But no matter how many times we make that positive assertion, the narrative doesn't seem to change, because it benefits, it seems, some to continue with the falsehoods. And that is why I don't expect that it will be corrected by those who themselves have been engaged actively in trying to bamboozle people by telling them that my government has been involved in selling lands. We have not sold, let me say it again, this government that I am privileged to lead has not sold not even 1 square inch. I didn't bother go to square foot. 1 square inch of land to anyone. The only lands that we're selling are lands being sold to the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, at Madden's, at Rice's, and places like those where we're trying to help people in terms of housing. So this constant assertion and allegation that we are selling out Nevis and we're selling, it's false and demonstrably so, but it doesn't seem to stop. You said you didn't want answer to your question, but let me just very quickly say the NIA does not have any capacity legally to issue anybody a passport.
Okay. He says that his government has not done any transaction whatsoever in regards to land. Not 1 square inch. You heard him say it. You heard him say it. This is a week ago, Wednesday. This is on here. This is what he said. On the topics in November. Listen very carefully.
The one of the question they want to know is the developers got any government land to buy?
Right.
Yeah?
So the answer to that is no. We have some government. We have some lands that are owned by NHLDC. That's close to the Saddle Hill area. And what we have said is we'll consider swapping those lands. There's one. Let me just add this, that we are undertaking some research in the area, because there's some lands in the area that the suggestion has been made to the government that they may be government lands, but they are currently what we call unregistered. So we have a surveyor who's doing that investigation for us. So once that investigation is over, we'll make a determination about those lands. But the lands that we currently own through NHLDC, we're thinking about swapping those, not selling them. The land that we did own,
swapping with the project, with the zone, you mean, and getting that somewhere else?
Yes.
Okay.
The lands that we did own, it was 238 acres. Those lands were swapped for debt already back in 2012. So we don't have those lands.
So does the government must swap the land, or the government can you hold those land to expand for other things apart.
We can,
Don't
it's
add it
government
apart.
land. We can do whatever we want to do with that land. But I'm saying that
Yes.
that is what we are
Yes.
contemplating. That if we can get land in another area, and in fact
Yes.
more land, then because we wouldn't be swapping 1 to 1, we'd be swapping 1 to 1 point something. So I think what's proposed is 1 to 1.2 or 1.25, something like that. So if we can get more land in another area, it's a matter that we will consider. But currently, no, there's no government land that has been sold.
I'm confused. And I'm not easily confused. Because he said the government is not engaged in any transaction whatsoever. When asked directly whether the government has sold any land, he said no. But we are in the process of bartering.
What is bartering?
1.2 per acre of land in the zone. That they have identified 220 acres which they intend to barter for land outside of the zone. In the 2025 budget presentation, there's a line item, $10 million sale of government asset. And I saw that line entry, and I called the relevant people and was told unequivocally that $10 million is from the proceeds of sale of government lands discovered in the zone.
$10 million.
$10 million. When a premier can go in public, on a public platform, and lie as if there are no consequences, and lie as if his truth will not be challenged and not be researched, in 2026, you think you can get away with simply saying, no, we didn't sell any government land, when there's a whole paper trail,
the evidence,
backing up the fact that you've sold $10 million worth of land, and that you have discovered 220 acres which you intend to barter with the developers? The question was very simple.
What is barter?
But isn't barter sort of, it's a non-cash transaction?
Exactly.
I'm going to give you something for something back. In the days before cash, barter was business.
Rice for flour.
Rice for flour.
Yeah, right.
A donkey for a goat.
Yeah.
You see, Dr. Daly, why the
Eggs for milk.
why the premier is the type of pathological liar that he is? Because he knows that there are a person in this community who is going to accept whatever he says as truth, regardless of what he says. Okay, on the matter, because he tells that prior to answering this question, he was talking about exchanging, swapping lands that are in the zone that are owned by the government to Destiny. Okay? And so he's going to say that to one audience, but to this other audience of one, he's saying that not one
square inch.
Not 1 square inch. And the thing about it, the person in the audience believed him because the person in the audience said that I know the answer already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so they have already satisfied their mind that because he said that he haven't sold no land.
But where he get the answer from?
He has the answer to all the questions. He asked for his question. He had the answer for all the answers.
Did he get the answers from God?
I don't.
He said he was on his knees. He said he was on his knees. So did God give him the answer by telephone, by mobile, by landline, by what? By beeper?
So
how did he get the answers? How did he know the answers?
The premier will continue to lie. He's
Tell
gonna
you
continue.
have the answer clearly is in the paper trail.
The paper trail answers the question.
Oh, we put it out there already. All these things that Daly is saying there, we put this out in the public already. Okay? But here it is. The premier has no qualms about lying to the minister. And I will say that because the minister told him you don't have to answer, so he's not going to answer the minister. He had no qualms lying to the prime minister. And he has no qualms lying to us. He has no qualms being deceitful and being deceptive, okay, and distorting truth, because he knows that there are people on this island will accept whatever he says as truth. When he said that he's going to exchange the lands, they accept it as truth. Now that he said that he have never done anything, they accept it as truth. Even though you're saying that in the budget said that they are $10 million.
Paragraph 179.
Okay.
Therefore, Madam President, a summary of resources projected to finance our 2026 expenditure program is outlined as follows. 1. Current revenue, 175.8 million. Projected minimum revenue from CBI, 35 million. Concessionary loans, 24 million. Capital revenue, sale of government asset, 10 million. Other grant funding, 4.8 million. You think I'm making this up?
That's what written in the budget.
This is in the budget?
Exactly. So that is the paper trail.
So he's talking about they have not engaged in any transaction whatsoever.
But where did 10 million come from?
So the 10 million must have come from Jesus. He must have come from Jesus because that's the only place he can come from. And then to be on the topics and says, well, we discovered 20 acres and we're going to swap it.
1.25 to 1.
Jesus Christ.
No, man.
You have gone to the point of negotiating the terms.
Exactly, but you don't have it. But you know, and it is for the Nevis people to understand. You know, there's a thing we used to say when we were children. What a tangled web we weave when we try to deceive. Come on.
You see, Jessel Barton is saying, meticulous word placement. He believes he's smart. Because in his mind, we are too dumb as a Nevisian public to understand that when he say he ain't sell, he means he ain't sell with cash.
Right. But, you know.
But something as the vex is troubling to me. Because it seems as if that the caller is hinting that those of us who question Mark, okay, that somehow we are haters.
Yeah, we hate him.
And I find that very, very offensive because you're saying to me that it's okay for him to be a pathological liar. It is okay for him to tarnish people's character and reputation. It's okay for him to do that. That is not a problem. And so when I speak to his life, because nobody can prove me wrong that when I say that he's a liar. When I speak to his failings, when I speak to his shady dealings, which are clearly, if you call that hatred, something is fundamentally wrong with you.
Good afternoon, on target.
Yeah, good afternoon to you guys, man. How much more minutes before you get off, man? 2 minutes?
2 minutes. So you got 1 minute.
Yeah, let me just. Okay, so real quickly, right? The only thing I really want to address, man, is, thank you for bringing the information forward. You know what I mean? What I can't understand, bro, with that clause 113, Nevis got in the Constitution, if we take our geothermal and give it away to St. Kitts, when and if the people of Nevis was to decide to go secession, where would that leave the Nevis people? And I'm going to just reference the Panama Canal. You see what a big fuss Trump made over a Panama Canal, control of that canal? It's a similar situation, maybe in reverse, because the Panama Canal is not in the United States. And here we have a president of the United States trying to get control of somebody else's area. Why the Nevis people should secede the geothermal resource to St. Kitts? Man, our premier is very compromised right now. And if he don't look out for the Nevis people, he's just going to have to be removed somehow. I'll leave it there, man. You guys have a good afternoon.
Right,
Thanks.
Thank you, brother. No, we got to move on.
Sorry, Kel. I just have to say in relation to what you were saying, Mr. Leeds, the problem with leadership, the problem with the premier is that reasonable, responsible people need to call him and tell him, shut up, you're talking foolishness, and you're not helping the society. and in instances where you are blatantly not telling the truth, they need to call him and tell him so. Everybody at that level benefits from that kind of thing, you know. The problem is that everything you say you're right, everything you say you're right, you know, and so you can't improve. It's like your children, Kelly. If you allow them to just do everything they want, or we have children, they just do what they want. The problem is leaders in this country, whether you're in the church or wherever else, everybody at that level benefits from some tough advice. And you need, if you have and these people must understand this, you can't have a leader of the country who is not telling you the truth all the time and keep telling you that what is not true, and then you just leave it as that, and then you call to say if it's true. Come on.
But here's the hypocrisy. In the church, we preach against sin. And we name all the sins and we call them. It is okay for us to do it in the church. But for us to call out the premier who is a public official, okay, and for us to call out truthfully, honestly, factually, who he is, you're going to call me a hater? That is insulting to the highest order. And he tells me that you endorses that because you would have, if you know all the other things, you know that he's a pathological liar. You know that he has tried his best to tarnish and destroy people's reputation. You know he boasts about the people them who he brought down. Okay? So you know all about that. And you're going to keep your mouth shut. I am saying to him that the people who tell Mark Brantley that he's a liar and that he needs to do better are the people who love Mark Brantley. The people who hate him are the people who say, listen, we know that you're a pathological liar. We know you're dishonest. We know you're a failure. We know that you're absolutely a crooked man. But listen, we like you. Those are the ones who hate him, not they who tell the truth.
I want the pastor to pray for all those persons who are hurt over the years by Mark Brantley.
Wow.
I want the pastor to pray for the hospital wing,
That's a long
for all those dialysis patients who have to trudge to St. Kitts to help save their lives. I want him to pray for all the things that this country has gone, all the debt that we have incurred. I want him to pray for all those things.
All the insults.
Anyway, moving on.
You still got more?
We got one more. I promised you last week that we're going to do a spot on the electoral office. We're going to do that now.
I have a file on that.
You have a file?
I have a file on that. Which, it's very quickly, Kelly, and I'll let you go. I have a file on it where the report comes from the head of the post office to say that the mail that is sent to
we're going to get to that.
No. I'm just saying that the head of the post office is saying, I am surprised that people have their hands on these bills. That this particular postman had his hands on the bill. It's a simple thing, Ken. What happened, I am saying it with the court case. The postman refused to carry out the mail in time so that the time could pass. That's all.
Listen,
Sorry.
He was hurt by it, but you go ahead now. He was hurt by it.
No, but it's part of the presentation.
Okay, let's go.
So I tell you, hold on. You want to jump off? Go ahead, you jump off.
Okay, go ahead. You set the tone. Go ahead.
All right. The issue, it goes without saying that whatever happens in the electoral office will determine the outcome of the elections.
True.
It goes without saying. We could sit here 24
That's
hours
the
a day.
engine. That's the engine.
Oh Lord, Hensley, stop interrupting me now, man.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
We could sit here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and talk about all the ills of this government, and talk about all the inadequacies and challenges, whatever it is, the debt, the destiny. We could sit here all day and blah bloody murder, and people can agree that the government needs to change. All that can be put to asunder by what happens in the electoral office. There is no transparency and accountability in that office at all. Look at the staffing. those persons who are working there were put there deliberately by the Premier to do one thing and one thing only. And we all know what that thing is. I don't have to spell it out. I don't want the radio station to get sued. But we all know, if you're going to staff an office with persons who support you, it just 1 + 1 hours equals to 2. And from their actions over the years, it's clear that they have no interest in being fair about the registration process for persons who come to register one with the next. So staffing is the first issue. We have asked many times, at least make it balanced, or at least use neutral people. People have no vested interest in one party or next. But that's never happened. The staffing will ensure certain things happen in a certain way.
Or don't happen.
There has been concerns of illegal registrations for years now. Years. I was the objector for Eagle Bell to Hector. Tula was an objector. You have objected.
Big time.
All right?
Yes.
And from my experience, I have gone and researched persons who say they live in a certain area. I've brought evidence to the registration officer, and I've been told carte blanche, thank you for the evidence, but we cannot hear your case because the person who you objected against is not here.
Mm-hmm.
The person that I am bringing evidence against is not here, so I cannot hear the evidence. And therefore the names remain on the list. This is not accidental. This is deliberate. We've been asking forever and ever and ever for a picture list of the list of voters. Because as we all know, persons have all kind of pseudonyms, all sorts of AKA, right names. We don't know the right names. We know the name on the list, but that's the name we know the people by. That's not the name we know them by. And all we're saying is have the picture list available to all agents, CCM and NRP, so that when we come across a name, we can match a name with a face. This is democracy 000. Basic. We have been asking the Electoral Commission, we've been asking the supervisory elections, have all agents, not just some. Because we know CCM has the list. We know CCM has the picture list. We know they have it. We've seen them with it. But we don't have it. How can this be fair? We're not asking for an advantage, but we don't want to be disadvantaged either. We want to be able to identify persons who match names with people. It's simple. If you are indeed interested in fairness, democracy, and the rule of law, why is it so difficult for us to have access to a picture list? We're not extorting anybody. We're trying to verify that picture matches the name, and therefore we can go to credit card, for example, and say, well, anybody knows this gentleman here? Oh yeah, he lives up the road there. If you ask them a name, they probably wouldn't know. And so we are asking, give us a list. Give everybody a list, a picture list. Not just the names, pictures to go with the names. Notice of the objections. The 2012 court case, NRP versus Mark Brantley and CCM. It came out in the wash, the court judgment, that NRP had not done enough to notify, hold your calls until I'm finished, please. Hold your calls till I'm finished. NRP did not do enough to notify those who were objected to ensure that they did receive the objection notice through the post office. the judge in his judgment castigated NRP and said, you should have hired a bailiff to hand deliver objections. That was groundbreaking because that was not the procedure. The procedure was you send the objections to the post office, they distribute to the mail, you get your notice, you come to the hearing. That was a normal practice. The judge said that was not sufficient. That you needed now to have a bailiff hand deliver to ensure delivery. They have gone 180 again because they're unwilling to do so. Hold your calls till I'm finished, please. Hold your calls till I'm finished. They're unwilling to pay the bailiffs to deliver these notices and to pay them on time. I went back and looked at the budget for St. Kitts, where the money is supposed to come from to pay these bailiffs. I couldn't see any line entry for bailiffs to deliver objection hearings, notices. So what that tells me, you want to hire a bailiff, but you don't got enough money to pay him? And you don't know where the money gonna come from?
NRP must hire the bailiff.
NRP cannot hire the bailiff.
But that's not what the judge said.
No, the government is supposed to hire the bailiff. Hold your calls, please. Hold your calls. I'm almost done. All right? We have been asking through the radio station here to have the supervisor elections to come onto a broadcast either by Zoom or physically in the studio to address some of these concerns. No voting ID needed. Just a swearing on the Bible that this is you, name is on the list. We want to have the supervisor here to ask, whether by Zoom or person, to ask questions. He says he's going to send out a statement. That's not good enough. Because when Dr. Drew in 2022, 2021, 2020 was seeking office, he had all to say about the electoral office. He was protesting outside the electoral office on St. Kitts. How it's corrupt and bad, and when he gets in, he's gonna make changes. He was complaining about the supervisor of elections, Elvin Bailey. And one of the first reappointments was Elvin Bailey. How can this make sense? I thought we wanted fairness and democracy in our elections. And I have something further to say about these observers who come after the horses out the gate. Don't come, because the damage has been done before you got here.
You only see the result.
You are rubber stamping a perfect process on the day, or near perfect, because I've never seen a report from the OECS or anybody else from election observers saying there were such grievous wrongs that the election need to be thrown out. Never happens. Minor incidences is what they report. You can do better here. My question to the observers, where the hell are you before elections to listen to the complaints of the opposition parties that these processes are fake? Dr. Joe came in riding a white horse about getting to the bottom of all the fake marriages. Persons who use fake marriages to get voting cards. Persons who never set foot in Nevis but get a registration card, a voter's card. Rowan Isles, St. Thomas's Craddock Road. I walked with him for 5 weeks looking for people on St. Thomas's side of Craddock Road. 5 weeks, and next week we're going to finish up. Over 400 voters in the NEPAC box down there at Pennies. 400. 200 we can't find.
I know where they are.
They're in Santo Domingo.
Okay.
We know that.
Okay.
They're in Santo Domingo. They are brought in by the foreign minister from Charlestown. We have him on video at the Advanced Armory International Airport, picking them up and carrying them back on the charter flights to Santo Domingo. 200! We don't know how they get the voters' cards because they have to be citizens. They're not members of CARICOM, so they have to be citizens to be able to vote. How did they get these cards? Where's the promise by Dr. Drew that he's going to get to the bottom of this? That all those fake marriages and blah, blah, blah will be dealt with. Not a thing. You heard the Premier say that persons can become citizens by ancestry, by birth, by marriage, and all are entitled to vote. Ain't got a problem. How did you get to be married? Where is the investigation determine who has fake and who has not? Where is the attempt to re-register people or the idea of re-registering people? I don't know. But here we are, facing the dawn of another election with the same set of rules that has disadvantaged the opposition here on Nevis. The Premier has nothing to say because it favors him. Pastor Maynard has nothing, no prayer to pray because his government is favored. Why don't he pray for fairness? That would be a good prayer to have. Gentlemen.
Yes, just very quickly, Kel. The court, as you said, made it clear now that you must have the service must be done by a bailiff.
Yeah, we went through that.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying that, but I'm saying now that the same court procedure is not being followed. The crux of the matter in dealing with the election is this: if Mr. Weeks is registered to vote in Hamilton, but he lives in Brownhill, when I send an objection coming out of St. John's, I'm sending the objection to Brownhill because that's where he says he lives. So there is no way you can get the notice to him. So he can't be notified. What has helped what has happened is that in some instances the registration officers have taken it upon themselves to do some of the investigation. That has helped to some level. The last point I want to make is that when we look at the voters list, another issue occurring there, you didn't mention that, a large number of people who have been dead for a long time still remain on the voters list. And when we met at the court, there were 203 persons who said they were disenfranchised. These 6 people on one count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which still leaves us in the majority in winning the case. But I'll give you one classic case, Kel. I went to an objection hearing and somebody produced a marriage certificate from the other country as evidence that they live in Bath. And that person was registered to vote. Registered to vote. You okay?
All I'm going to say in this matter, there is an insider in the CCM operations, Sil, who said to me, CCM won one election in Nevis. That was 1992. He said all the other elections, there were won inside the electoral office. And I wanted to get some detail how it was done. And he gave me the detail how it was done. And I followed, and it worked. These people were masterful. He said to me, NRP won the 2006 election. And they only won that because we decided during that election that we're going to cool out. The Premier knows exactly what is taking place in that office. When he went after Beulah Mills and tried to tarnish the reputations of everybody in the office, Beulah was doing his whole job. And one other thing about Beulah, while Beulah was the head of that office, Beulah didn't vote in elections. Beulah said, I am not going to vote because I am not in that position. If I got to vote, them and don't brand me this and me that. So nobody saw her on voting days showing up at an election, a polling booth. But I know she did her job, and I'll tell you why I knew. When I re-registered, she gave me a receipt, tell me, hold that. And I remember I came into town to do something. And when I remember that, they told me to come for it. I went up and I said, Smells, I come. She asked me, where the receipt I gave you? So I leave it home. He said, I can't give you the regulation, so you must have that. So you go get it and come back. I had to walk to Hamilton and walk back down to get it. Nobody could convince me that she was not doing it. I said, girl, me your neighbor. Me do anything you want me to do. Me live basically in your yard. He said, here, tell you, the regulation says you must have the piece of paper that I gave you. Go and get it and come back. But the Premier of Nevis did his best to tarnish that woman's name and all those who work in the registrar office because he felt that somehow they were supporting NRP. But then he goes and install inside the office, them going to install in the office, people who were absolutely certain supports them and absolutely use the system for their benefit and absolutely nothing wrong with it. Last election, when I, as a representative for Jenny Keynes, election is underway, don't start, and then we were told, hey, hold. The election was halt.
And the morning?
The morning of the election, we were halt, and we were told, no longer you must require anybody to bring any ID to vote. The person has to come daily, so they say swear in the Bible, not swear in the Bible. All they had to do, hold up their hand and say, my name is Kelvin Daly.
But when was
I'm from sir.
When was that law changed?
The law not change. And that's what we are saying. And Daly is right. Because here it is, the court is saying that NRP did not do enough to get out the objections, to make sure the people get it. So they blame us. Now we have an election, and then the election commission, during the day of the election, when the poll has already started, comes and halts it to say, no longer that you have to require an ID for the people to vote. All they have to do come in and swear. My name is... The fix was in, because yes, some people came there, we don't have a clue who they were.
Let me say this before we finish. You know, there are challenges. There are serious challenges to our voting system, but it's the only thing we have. And all we're asking the powers that be is to make it fair. To make it fair. That's a tough ask.
They're not going to make it fair.
Because they are vested interests who try to make sure that they stay in power to protect themselves. I understand that. All right? Outside of that, I'm asking Dr. Drew to put a budget forward to make sure that the bailiffs who are being contracted to deliver these things are paid immediately. People are not easy to find. It's an incentive for those persons to get paid and paid on time. This is our last call before we leave here. Good afternoon, Target. Hello?
Yeah, you see the powers that be that I are asked to make this thing fair will not. You benefit them. When me ask as a voter, as an individual, it's for us as a people. Forget about the blue and the green. Let me done with the blue and the green yet. Because you know what? Only who in the top of the blue and the green are benefit out of this thing. Poor people now benefit nothing. We now benefit nothing. Only who the top, who get to the top in the blue and green will benefit when time comes.
So we as a people got to join together, unite, and change this thing. Only we could change it. And we must change it. If we don't change it, we will suffer. Poverty will always there. We do a step. Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. With that, we are done for today. Our closing hymn is normally this.
Praise God from whom our blessings flow.
Big crowd in Charlestown, man. Look them face a frown. All man and woman balling.
One thing,
repeal.
We want we land. We want we say. Everybody to that we going hold on today.